Adam Carolla, you know him from his world famous podcast. He also has No Safe Spaces that he did in conjunction with PragerU and our good friend Dennis Prager. And of course, his book, I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, Navigating Our All Woke, No Joke Culture. Adam, it's a pleasure to speak with you. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me, Dana.
Of course. I mean, you're a comedian. How bad does society suck right now? Because nothing's funny and you have to constantly look over your shoulder and feel like everything that you say is going to be taken out of context, and it's happening everywhere. And it used to be something that if you were in politics and that was, you just were in the punditry sphere, it would affect you. But now you can be a dentist and people come at you because you had the wrong avatar on Facebook. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, or if you shoot a lion as a dentist, it will come at you.
Yeah,
Well,
they'll come at you with that.
That's something that I've learned. It doesn't affect me because I don't care, because I sort of work outside of Hollywood, because I told those idiots to kiss my ass a long time ago. I wasn't going to dance for them. I made my own business. I have my own business.
You're uncancelable.
I tour. What's that?
You're uncancelable.
Yeah, I'm uncancelable because I don't really work for anybody. I work for myself. I did stand up in Phoenix last weekend. I'm going to Salt Lake City the week after this weekend. I do my own shows. I write my own books. I do my own podcast. I sell my own T-shirts, and I've known this for a long time. I've always known I wasn't going to fit into this system, and I didn't get into comedy to figure out what people wanted me to say. I got into comedy to say what I wanted to say.
Right. No, I like that because I feel like people are still trying to figure out how they can go at you, and yet they can't, because it's like if you're your own entity, they can't sever you from anything. You had, and I have to talk about this because there's a backstory that I have on this. I saw this this morning, or actually a little bit ago, when I looked at your Twitter timeline. You said you flew on Southwest recently. After repeatedly begging everyone to wear masks, they gave out mini packs of pretzels, and then you were asking about the safety of that. So when I flew Southwest, I would wear a mask just so people wouldn't sit with me. I would wear a mask and I would sit in the center row because no one will sit with you. Now it's the opposite. If you don't wear a mask and you sit in the center row, you'll probably get kicked off the plane. But nobody will sit with you. So you're like, you went out to Phoenix. You've been traveling. What have you been encountering with all of that? Do you have mask holes trying to shut you down on that issue? What have you been coming into contact with and experiencing as to people's attitudes on that?
Well, all the people on the flight obviously chose to get on the flight. So that's
right.
A self-selecting group. And then all the people in the clubs I play chose to buy a ticket and go out on a Saturday night and have a laugh. So that's a self-selecting group. The group that can't figure out what's going on is my fellow comedians and a lot of Hollywood types they basically bought into this thing. They went all in, and they're like, oh, you're just going to go to Texas and die and never come back. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to go to Texas and make some money and make some people laugh and then come back. So each time I head to the airport, they go, okay, well, I'll see you in hell. And I go, fine, I'll be back Sunday night. And that's how it works. They can't figure out why I'm not dying.
Just be like, I'm resistant. I'm immortal. That's what it is. Yeah. Well, and by the way, I'm sorry I didn't get to welcome you to Texas. Welcome to America. When you come and visit Texas. No, that's the thing. And the self-selecting. And I like that people are kind of getting on with their lives and going out and going to see a show. And it just, this is such a weird time. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just, I'll go out here and there, but honestly, I don't even really like going out anymore because everybody sucks and everything's depressing. And so kudos to you for luring people out of their hidey holes to come and just kind of chill out and relax. I mean, that you're brave, because I just can't. You don't care. I don't really care either. I just have zero tolerance for it. I just can't. I would just rather stay at home and watch stuff and play a game and just not deal with people's attitudes. That's sad, isn't it?
Well,
sad.
One of my first things when this thing went down, other than kind of watch CNN with one eyebrow raised above my scalp line constantly, with all their grim milestones and all the negativity, one of the first things I did is thought, how can this impact me the least? How can this be the least negative in my life? And so I made decisions early on, like I'm not wearing gloves and I'm not going to
Yeah, that's dumb.
spray every package that comes into the house down with rubbing alcohol and then let it sit on the porch and decontaminate for 2 weeks while the fries get cold. So one of the first things I did is went, what is nonsense? And also, I figured out that we're so incredibly safety oriented that if they say the airlines are open, then the airlines are open, then it's
Yeah.
safe to fly. So this thing hasn't impacted me. It's impacted me about 5%, where it's impacted a lot of people 85%.
Right.
So I was trying to minimize the impact, and I go to work every day. I play as many clubs as I can play. I travel around. I when I take a walk, I don't wear a mask. Not because I'm not doing it to push against the governor or push against
Right.
the or push against the mayor. Now they're idiots. There's no doubt about it. I'm doing it because I have figured out that I don't need a mask to walk on a horse trail, so I don't do it.
Yeah.
That's the way I live my life entirely.
No, I like it's common sense. It's I mean it's common sense and you know, I think there's a huge difference in objecting to wearing just having to wear a mask and then objecting to the government making you wear one. If you're against it and you don't want to wear I mean we're not protesting masks. It's the mandates that government is issuing requiring us to do that in certain areas, which brings me to my point here. So you have no safe spaces when you talk about we're talking about this culture where it just seems it's just weird. I feel like it's like a new puritanism, for the lack of a better way to put it. My oldest son is now at college, and he made the remark to me, and everything that I read about college, that it was just like, freewheeling and, you're it's total freedom and you can, do what you want. He said it doesn't really, he goes, everything is because of our culture and because of the way that the wokery, this woke movement and social justice warriorism is, and how you're expected to kind of fall into line. It doesn't seem that way. He's like, college is way more restrictive than I ever thought it would be. And you've done with PragerU no safe spaces. And by the way, it's brilliant. And you're showcasing the attack on free speech and looking at free thought, because colleges and universities, and I was telling my son this used to be where you could ask the dangerous questions. This would be where you could explore different areas of thought. And that was a safe area to do it in. And now none of that is allowed. And everyone, they're like these little petty, malicious Puritans, and everything that is even remotely different from groupthink must be exercised. So my question is, you've been to more college campuses probably than I've been, but by talking to everybody and doing this. Are we ever going to come back from this particular point in our cultural history? Or is there enough people like you? Is there enough people like me out there that are willing to continue living our lives and willing to say the things that need to be said and to think dangerously and to explore areas of thought that have been previously, disallowed lately? Are we ever going to come back from this, or is this going to suck forever?
First off, can you see me okay?
No, not at all. Cannot see you at all.
I can hear you fine. I just
Perfect.
can't see you because my screen, somebody texted me and I hit the stupid thing and it went away. But I can definitely audibly, I don't know how to work the phone. I can audibly answer your question if that's fine with you.
Perfect. Yes. That will work for me.
I can't say that it's ever going to go away, and I can't say that we're going to reunite this country sort of in the middle, like a zipper on a fat chick putting on skinny jeans and trying to get that zipper up.
You need the pliers for that one.
We're,
To pull the zipper up. Go ahead.
I don't think we're going to do that. What I do think is we're going to have a group that is living in a safe space that's getting ever safer by the minute. and the rest of us are going to go down to the shooting range, go down to the octagon, or go do a Tough Mudder this Saturday. I think I think the reason the UFC is the fastest growing sport is
Yes.
because we used to have bar fights, and we don't have bar fights anymore. We now have this. So I think a group is going to be doing, the polar bear challenge and throwing themselves in freezing Lake Michigan, doing Tough Mudders, going to the UFC, rolling in jiu-jitsu, firing their arms off at a firing range. And the other group is going to get deeper into the safe space.
Yeah. No, and that's what's sad. And I don't even know if this is going to be awful. This may sound awful. I just don't even know if I even want unity. I just want people to realize that it is okay to not have a hive mind. And I mean, we've been talking about critical race theory in college campuses and in high schools and even in elementary schools. And now it's like a cottage industry. There's a story that came out this week where some guy, and this, I'm actually mad that I didn't think of doing this professionally earlier. I didn't realize this was such easy money. This guy gets paid $20,000 for a 45-minute presentation on critical race theory, where he basically goes into like schools and businesses and tells everyone that they're racist and awful and they're going to go to hell. And then that's it. And then he cashes a check. It's like a whole new cottage industry and everybody's buying into it. And I always wondered, like, the first chance that people figure out how to turn this into an industry and start making bank on it, it's going to stay. It's going to get deep rooted in our institutions and it's going to stay. Your thought?
Yeah, well, we never pump the brakes. It's called a progressive movement. It moves forward and it progresses, and it's right in the title. So none of us should be surprised when the progressive movement
Right.
never stops, right?
They've told us who they are.
Yeah, it's a perpetual motion machine. So it's going to keep going. And for people like us, it's going to make less and less sense. And for the others, it's going to become the norm. The problem is it doesn't solve any problems. The schools never get any better. Unemployment for this community or that community doesn't help. It never, hiring a police force that ethnically represents the people that it doesn't stop police shootings. It doesn't stop crime. It doesn't do anything. We're going to hire an African-American female police chief.
Yeah.
How's that working out?
Yeah.
It never works because it can't work, because it's all window dressing. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't do anything. It's all a coat of paint. And we're talking about structural engineering. We need to get in and structurally rebuild this house. And they're talking about wallpaper.
That's right. You've told everyone that, it's in schools now, but it's coming to the neighborhoods. It's coming to the workplace. The critical race theory, the progressivism progresses into Marxist cultural movement. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but there's so many things I'd love to pick your brain about. But make sure you go to nosafespaces.com and also check out Adam's book, which came out this summer. I'm your emotional support animal, navigating our all woke, no joke culture. Adam, always a pleasure. I have always appreciated you. And thanks for your voice out there, man.